Good evening, everyone. I don't know what brought each of you to this event or what kinds of twists and turns you may have had to endure to ultimately make it here tonight. But I want to take a moment to just thank each and every one of you for being here, because every single person in this room tonight is giving me hope, just by virtue of being here. So thank you. Please give yourself a hand. I was honored to be asked to share some of my story at the gala this year because I really do love Bread for the City. And it's not the kind of love that I ever expected to have for a nonprofit organization. But as I've been reflecting on it lately, I've realized that it's not just an organization, it's also a community. And it's not only a community, it's also a refuge. The Washington Post recently reported that DC has the highest gentrification intensity of any US city, and that more than 20,000 African American residents were displaced from low-income neighborhoods from the year 2000 to 2013. 20,000 residents. For some, the term economic genocide may sound harsh, but the discomfort of hearing the term is nothing compared to how it actually feels to be a refugee in the land of your birth. In the midst of that kind of social and economic crises, a little community and a little refuge can be the difference between life and death. The first time I ever set foot in Bread for the City was in the year 2011. I had been living and organizing at a tent city demonstration for about 3 weeks at 7th and R Streets Northwest. When I finally decided that I couldn't take the stress and the politics of continuing to lead the efforts of the encampment, I handed off the keys to the folks who lived in the tent next to mine and proceeded to walk down 7th Street without a destination, but knowing that I would not go back to the camp. I felt defeated and without a sense of place. I knew more than ever before that I had the right to exist on the planet of my birth and in the land of my birth, but I also realized for the first time that I had been chronically homeless for the better part of my adult life. That tent on that vacant lot was the first place that I had ever called my own home, and that realization was devastating. I started walking down 7th Street and I came to the Northwest location for Bread for the City. And that was the first time I'd ever really noticed it. I decided to go inside. I didn't speak to anyone. I just looked around the lobby and I noticed a small glass room with a desk and a table, a telephone inside. So I sat down at the desk, I picked up the phone, I put the receiver up to my ear and said, "Ah!" And then I put down the phone and walked out of the building. I don't know who I was calling that day, but somebody definitely answered. So it would be 3 years before I came back to Bread, and at that time I went to the Southeast location with a friend of mine who was going to get a turkey for Thanksgiving. She wanted some help, somebody to watch her kids while she was picking up her turkey, and it was so easy to become a client that I ended up becoming a client too. And pretty soon I became part of the Women Strong program. Yes. And then with massive and comprehensive support from Bread for the City, I applied for a grant from the DC Commission. Hey! DC Commission for the Arts and Humanities had a grant, and it was for a women's radio project. That was the proposal that was put forward, and the project was awarded at $60,000 at that time. So So over the years, I became more financially stable. I spent less time at Bread for the City. I knew that some of my activist friends went there for medical care, dental care, but I didn't really go myself. I never looked into the clinic at Bread. And it's hard to say why it took me so long to see a doctor. In simplest terms, I was scared. I had had more than a couple experiences of feeling unseen and unheard by medical professionals. Even though I was unsure about my HIV status and I knew I needed to see a dentist, I just didn't go. The last time I had seen a dentist, it seemed like he was judging me because he didn't understand why I had neglected my oral health. He seemed annoyed that he had to do extra work because of my self-neglect. I felt embarrassed and ashamed, and I never went back to his office. Now, my first visit to the doctor at Bread for the City was nothing like my stress-filled memories of healthcare at all. The waiting room had art supplies, an area where children could play, and the staff seemed relaxed and even generally happy. Yeah. My doctor, Dr. Randy, yeah, she managed to make me feel like I was her only patient. And I knew that wasn't true. When she called to follow up on something, some days after my appointment, she called regarding my prescription. And I was really surprised, I remember thinking to myself, how is it possible for her to pay this much attention to one patient? Amazing. There is something magical that happens when someone can see your humanity and treats you accordingly. There is something healing about being seen as a person. I no longer think of going to the dentist or seeing the doctor as luxuries that are for other people with more money or status than myself. I think of medical care as something that my community offers to me and that I can receive without fear or embarrassment. I don't have to worry about whether or not I'll be judged for having health issues that are common for people that have survived or are experiencing homelessness. And I no longer deny myself medical care because of shame. I went on to become a patient member of the board of directors for Bread for the City. And it has been, thank you, it has been an inexplicably profound honor and privilege to serve the community that has served me and so many others so well and so lovingly for so long. There's something transformational that happens when someone really believes in you. When someone can see beyond all your circumstances and weaknesses and connect with your potential. It starts a kind of domino effect that can improve every part of your life. I believe that the faith and the support that Bread for the City has put in me has helped me to develop confidence, leadership, and life skills that are allowing me to finally break the cycle of generational poverty in my family. I now work as a lead arts educator and administrator for Children's Studio School in Washington, D.C. The organization's been around since 1977. I've been a member of a DC-based intentional community called Compersia for over 2 years now. And I'm also the steward of a 70-acre land trust that serves formerly incarcerated and homeless people from the DC community and beyond. I serve on the board of the Fellowship for Intentional Communities, the School of Living, Earth Rights Institute, and Bread for the City, as well as on the advisory board for Tight Shift Labor Cooperative. Tight Shift? Most importantly, I know that my humanity is worthwhile. And I am determined to help as many people as possible experience what it feels like when someone believes in the immeasurable value of your humanity and treats you that way. I honestly cannot think of a better place to do that work than right here and right now. And if no one has told you yet today, you are valuable beyond measure. No matter your circumstances, you are worthwhile. Thank you. I love you all. Be well.